All right, this is 6th grade math 4.1. We are on page 169. And this PowerPoint, there's a problem in the PowerPoints from the company, so I had to make this myself. So this one's going to look a little bit different than what we've done before, so we'll just have to deal with that as we go through. The vocabulary is the commutative property of multiplication and the associative property of multiplication. And I want you to turn your book to page 171. On page 171, there is a key concept box that gives the examples for these, the associative property and the commutative property. Basically, the commutative property says you can multiply. Let me erase something here. Erase this. Let me erase this. This is your key concept right here. Okay, you can multiply in any order. Okay, so for example, 2 times 6.5 equals 6.5 times 2. Those will come out the same. In multiplication, you can switch the order. They also have an algebra example, a times b equals b times a, which changes the order right there. Okay, and the associative property, I'm still on page, this is on, I'm getting it from the key concept box on page 221. So key vocabulary and key concept, we're kind of got a double whammy right here. Killing two birds with one stone, as they say. It says changing the grouping, that's the parentheses, of the factors. Factors are the numbers that you multiply to get the answer, which would be the product, will not change the product. Okay, so that looks something like this. 2 times 6.5 times 4 equals 2 times 6.5 times 4. Notice I moved the parentheses. I didn't change the order of the numbers. I just moved the parentheses. I changed the grouping, which is what the parenthesis does. And then your algebra would be a times b times c, a times b times c. You could take a times b first, or you could take b times c. And so then that one works out. So there's our vocabulary kind of bunched together with our key concept box. So let's do some of these multiplying. One thing we're going to do, we're multiplying with decimals. And it gets kind of confusing because this is a period, it's not part of the problem, so I'm just going to cross that off. When you multiply with decimals, these two numbers right here are called the factors, and your answer is called the product. So when you are multiplying with decimals, you need to have the same number of decimal places in the product as you do in the factors. So what I do is I pretend like that decimal's not there and those zeros aren't there, and I just take 7 times 6. 7 times 6 is 42. And then I have to put in the decimal places. There are 1, 2, 3 decimal places in these factors. So I have to put 3 decimal places in the product. So I start on the back and I go 1, 2, 3. The decimal's there, I fill it with a 0, and I should always put a 0 on the front part. So the answer to 7 times 6 thousandths is 42 thousandths. That's multiplying with decimals. So let's do some of these in the guided practice. So the first one, number 1, 3, you just take 3 times 5, which is 15. And then there are 1, 2, 3 decimal places over here. So you put 1, 2, 3 in the answer. That's it. 0.015. So here we just look at, pretend like that's just 24. So you do 24 times 4. And the one would be 96. And there's 3 decimal places again over here. So 1, 2, 3. Now if you're not sure what a decimal place is, remember it's any place to the right of the decimal. This one, just pretend like the decimal's not there and take 12 times 7. Which is 84, and there's 1 decimal place this time, so you only move it 1 place. The answer would be 8.4. And this one's getting a little bit bigger. Just pretend like that's 236 times 6. Just don't forget the decimals. So 6 times 6 is 36, 18, 21, carry the 2. So 1416, but that's not my answer because there's 2 decimal places. So I go over 2 places, and that answer would be 14.16. So just getting used to throwing some decimals there, making sure you put your decimals in your answers. Okay. So the next example 2, I didn't write this whole thing out because it would have taken me forever to type it, so read along with me. It's in the book, Junior Iditarod Race, and it's kind of a cool picture. Those are really neat dogs that they use on those sleds. It says, example 2, Junior Iditarod Race. In the 2001 Junior Iditarod Race, one team completed the race in about 18 hours over 2 days. The team's average rate was 8.325 miles per hour. About how long was the race round to the nearest mile? So one thing it talks about at the top of the page is including zeros. It says you need to include the zeros at the end of a product in order to count the decimal places correctly. But once you've gotten the decimal places, you can drop any zeros at the end. That's at the end of a decimal number, you can drop the zeros. And you'll see here on this problem what I mean. So they ask to find how long it takes, so we want to use the distance formula. This is a very good formula to memorize. It's used a lot. Sometimes it shows up on a lot of story problems. Distance equals your rate times your time. So they traveled for 18 hours, okay, at a rate, their rate was their speed, their average was 8.325. So we want to know how far they traveled. We want to know their distance. So we're going to take 8.325 times 18. Okay, so we pretend like the decimal's not there. 24, 26, carry the 2, 64 plus 2 is 66. Go to the next row, put a placeholder, 5, 2, 3, 8, 0, 5, 8, can't write an 8 for some reason, 9, can't write a 9 either, 14. Now that's not my answer because there's 3 decimal places up here, so I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. So 149.850. Now the deal they're talking about is that 0 at the end, because you can take it off, it does not change the value of any of the places, so it's an extra 0. So you can drop that, and they went 149 and 85 hundredths miles. Wow, that's a long ways on a dog sled, isn't it? So the next example says, check for reasonableness. Reasonableness, you look at it and you say, hey, does that answer make sense? Is that answer close to the right answer? Reasonableness means you would use some rounding. So let's go back and look. We took 8.325 times 18, and we got 149.85. Okay, so to check, estimation to check means we want to round. 8.325 is close to 8. 18, you know, it's already a whole number, so we don't need to round that one. 18 times 8 is 8. Carry the 4 is 100. 18, 19, 21. Did I do that right? No. 40, that's not 48. Ooh. 18 times 8 is 8 times 8 is 64. That would be 14. About 144 when we estimate it, and the actual answer was 149. Those are pretty darn close, so we would say yes, our answer is reasonable. So the guided practice, let's check this out. They're just practicing with the zeros. 50, you just take 50 times 9. And then there's 1 decimal place over here, so you put in 1 place. So it's just 45.0, which is just 45. So that would be your answer for that one. 1505 times 8, 0, carry the 4, be a 4, another 40, carry the 4, 8, that'd be 12. Put in 3 decimal places. You can't forget those decimal places. 1, 2, 3. So that would be 12.040. And I'm going to need a little room for this one. 314 times 75. 0, carry the 2. 7, 15. There's a placeholder. 8, carry the 2. That'd be a 9, a 21. 15, carry the 1. 15, carry the 1. That would be 3 and 2. And put in 2 decimal places. There's that 0 you can drop. 235.5. So let me look at my book and see if they agree with me. Yep, those are right. So number 8, the bicycle race. You completed the first leg of a bicycle race in about 12 hours over 2 days. Your cyclometer shows that your average speed for this leg was 15.95 miles per hour. How long was this leg of the race? So there's our distance formula. Distance equals rate times time. You did it for 12 hours. There's the time. You went about 15.95 miles per hour. What was your distance? So we're going to take 15.95 times 12. 0, carry the 1, 18, 19, carry the 1, 11, carry the 1, 2, 3, placeholder, 5, 9, 5, 1. 14, carry the 1, 11, carry the 1, 5, 9. And 2 decimal places. Drop that 0. You went about 191.4 miles, and that's another long. It says about, so maybe they wanted us to estimate it. So they have about 192 miles or so, 191 miles. Wow, that's a long way to go on a bike, isn't it? Okay, number 4, use estimation to check whether the answer is reasonable. This is the answer they're giving us. So we're going to round these and check. So 3.254 is really close, rounds to 3. So let's take 18 times 3 and see if that answer is reasonable. 58 is really close to 54. So we're going to say yes, it's reasonable. 12,706 times 3. Oh wait, we're rounding, sorry. 12.7 rounds to 13. 13 times 3 is only 39, so we would say no. 381 is not close to 39. This is close to 15, so we're taking 15 times 4. We're estimating, so we round, and we get 60, and that answer is 61, so we would say yes. Number 12, explain why the answer 84 is not reasonable for the product 3 times 2.8. Well, that's about 3. That's about 3 times 3, which is 9. We're only multiplying 3 times 3. We don't have a big enough number to get, maybe they forgot, they probably did, look what they did, 2.8 times 3, and then they forgot the decimal point on it. That's what happened on that problem. Alright, example number 4, and this is right below the key concept box. It's the one we just talked about the commutative property or the associative property, and so let's remind ourselves about those properties. That means we can go in any order. This one right here changes the grouping symbols. It changes the parentheses. So it says, tell which one allows you to rewrite the problem as shown, explain your choice. Well, these are in a different order, so they changed the order. That would be the commutative property. Okay, and we can do that because it allows us to change the order of that property. So the last guided practice says, tell which property of multiplication is shown, explain your choice. So this one, notice they didn't change the order on this one. The numbers are in the exact same order. They changed the grouping symbols. So that's called the associative property. Sorry, ASSO didn't come out very good. This one, they changed the order of the numbers, which would be the commutative property. Alright, so if you have any questions about multiplying, just don't forget to put the decimals. I say forget about the decimals and multiply, and then don't forget the decimals and put them back into your answer. So that's it for 4.1, and we will see you next time. Bye.